are live. It is Monday morning. My name is Rob Dauster. The guy you see next to me is Jeff Goodman. We are the Field of 68. This is the Field of 68 Best Bets podcast. If you're watching on the live stream, give me 1 second while I hit retweet. Try to get people into this feed. Jeffrey's probably hitting retweet as we speak as well. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please rate, review, subscribe. That's the best way to help us grow this channel, grow this podcast, grow everything about this network. Before we actually dive into the games, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about Home Field Apparel. They are a independently owned, officially licensed collegiate apparel company. Really good people that run it. It's really cool what they do as well. They mine all of the old logos and all of the old patterns for your favorite programs and your favorite universities, whether it's the basketball teams, the football teams, or whatever. And they take those old logos and they recreate them and they redesign them and they slap them on t-shirts and they slap them on hoodies and they slap them on joggers and they slap them on any kind of gear that you could possibly want to wear. It all fits well. It's all really comfortable. The t-shirts, Jeff, you know this, they don't have the saggy necks. They're nice and tight around the arms. When you wash them, they don't start fraying out at the waist. It's everything about the t-shirt is exactly the way that I like to wear my t-shirt. So if you go to homefieldapparel.com, you can get 20% off your first purchase with the promo code FIELD of68. And if you go there and you don't see the programs or your favorite team listed among the programs that they have available, just tweet at them at Homefield Apparel. There's no E in apparel. That's Homefield, APPARL. Tweet at them and let them know what programs and what teams and what schools you want to see up there. I know of a couple that might be coming in the pipeline. Big names, Jeffrey, big names. That's what we call a tease in the industry.
You should break the news.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
All right.
I am sworn to secrecy, but they're big. Yeah. They're big. They're going to be fun. All right. Before we dive into today's delicious slate of games, let's put it like that. I want to talk with you a little bit about what happened this weekend in college hoops. Lots of big storylines, lots of things to discuss. Let's put Baylor Gonzaga getting canceled on the back burner for now, because Sunday night we saw your Kentucky Wildcats lose by 17 points to a Georgia Tech team that lost to Georgia Southern and that lost to Mercer. That is not a good thing.
I think they
for
lost
the man down in Oxford.
You're mixing up your Georgias. They lost to Georgia State, not Georgia Southern.
Whatever it wasn't Georgia. It wasn't the Atlanta Hawks. It was not a team that Georgia Tech should be losing to.
Yes, that's very true. Very, very true. Listen, Kentucky sucked. And they haven't looked good so far this year for the most part. They kept it close with Kansas. They kept it sort of close with Richmond. Yesterday was an embarrassment. I didn't hear Calipari's post game, but to me, again, there was no energy. There was no fight. There was nothing at the end of that game when I thought that they were going to fight back and have a chance, because that's what John Calipari's team generally do. And listen, I tweeted it yesterday, and people don't know where to stand with me with Kentucky, right? And my take on this is, listen, I'm not completely bought into them. I'm not. I had them ranked lower than everybody in the preseason. But what I will say is you got to give them a little bit of a break here early, because they didn't have a summer. We talked about this, Rob. A team that had nobody back. Keon Brooks, the only player who played for Kentucky last year, he's hurt right now. So they didn't have a summer, number one. Number two, they went up against two teams of these three that they've lost to that are super experienced. Georgia Tech, all juniors and seniors. Richmond, 4 seniors. So it was a bad way to start the season. Having said that, Rob, I'm not completely bought in that this Kentucky team is going to look like most of the Kentucky teams of old, because right now I'm worried about Devin Askew, and I'm worried about their perimeter shooting. But it's more point guard play than anything else right now. Their defense is not great. It wasn't great yesterday, but it's going to be fine. It's their offense that has me very, very concerned, and Devin Askew in the point guard position in particular.
Yeah, I would just urge people to remember the 2019 season. If you've forgotten, Jeff, that was the year when Zion Williamson played in college basketball. I think you might have heard of that guy. And Kentucky played Duke in the Champions Classic and lost by 1 million. right? I don't remember what the actual score was, but they lost by 1,000,000.
We gave
And
Duke the national title that night. We handed them the national title that night.
Yeah, we did. And then Kentucky, they took some lumps. I think they lost to Seton Hall in the Garden. There might have been they lost to someone else at some point that year, and they looked really bad against all of the mid-major teams that they played at the end of November and in early December. And then once they started figuring things out, they ended up coming. I think they made it to the Elite Eight that year, and then they lost to Auburn in the Elite Eight. I think I have the years right on this. It all kind of blends together, but they ended up being a really good team. PJ Washington turned into an All-American kind of player. So to me, that is evidence of this Kentucky team. Like, there's a chance that they can figure it out for all the things that you mentioned. Like, they're behind in their development because they are so young, they are so new. They didn't have a normal summer, and they didn't have all of those smaller schools that they could beat up on to kind of figure out the rotations, figure out who's getting shots in certain spots, all of that stuff. And when you have such a new team and you do not have any kind of presence at the point to kind of carry you through whatever you need to get carried through, it's a bad combination of things. So they are a very bad basketball team right now, and I think everybody can agree with that. I think John Calipari would admit that. But don't write this team off. There's too much talent on the roster. When they're going to figure things out, and when they figure things out, they're going to once again be one of the better teams in the SEC. They're just starting at a point that's lower than we've ever seen Kentucky start for a number of different reasons. There's a lot that goes into it.
And they can't make shots. I mean, again, Brandon Boston can't make shots. I'm laughing at the Terrence Clark should play point guard situation right now, because I think it's no chance. To me, I think it would be a horrible idea. I think then you honestly, what you do is you crush Devin Askew's confidence and Davion Mintz, and it's not a long-term solution. It's not. Like, Terrence Clark is not a point guard. I don't know what he is. I mean, he's a wing who doesn't shoot it great, who can get to the basket. He's great in transition. He had a great game yesterday. He did. But Terrence Clark's trying to figure himself out right now. And to add to a freshman in game number 4 or 5 or whatever it's going to be to play the point guard position, a position he's never played before, it would be stupid.
Yeah, I don't necessarily totally disagree. I do think what they should do is use Davion Mintz and Terrence Clark together and allow Terrence Clark to kind of be the initiator and the playmaker in the half court, because Mintz can space the floor a little bit. I mean, they did that. I think it was the 2019 team when they kind of moved Quad A off the ball and kind of let other people like handle the playmaking in the half court and use Quad A just as a guy that can space the floor as a shooter that can give you a little bit more room to operate. So I do think that is something that is worth looking at. But again, like, there's just so many pieces that Kentucky has to put together to try to figure this thing out that it's going to be a long process.
Point guard play. Askew, you're not going anywhere without Devin Askew. So you got to figure him out. And to me, I want to crush his confidence. And I think again, like you said, what do you want to do? You want to help him. You want to bring him along. So if that's saying, hey, you know what, you're not going to be the point guard who's got everything on his shoulders, we're going to throw Davion Mintz out there, who's a veteran. When you're out there, we're going to throw Olivier Sarr out there, who's a veteran. And we'll surround you by a couple more freshmen. And again, Keon Brooks would help this team right now. He would. He's not a lottery pick, as I tweeted last night, and I got a lot of shit for it. I said Terrence Clark may have played with more pros at Brewster Academy than he is currently at Kentucky. I was being sort of facetious on that one, but right now, listen, the only guy who's played well to me so far, who's played better than I thought, is Isaiah Jackson. He's the only one who to me has looked better. I mean, Brandon Boston can't make a shot. Terrence Clark's not a three-point shooter. Mintz hasn't made a shot. Sarr has been very underwhelming. Like, I thought Olivier Sarr would be a guy they could count on. And defensively, they were a mess last night when it mattered.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like it's hard for all of these new pieces to come together and figure things out when they don't have all those practices. It's almost like the teams that we're seeing have the most success right now, whether it's Baylor or Gonzaga or someone like a Texas or someone like a West Virginia, the teams that have been, or in Iowa, the teams that have been the most impressive are the ones that brought all of these pieces back because they already know what they're supposed to be doing. All right. I don't think there's anything I don't think we'll be reinventing the wheel if we talk about Baylor and Gonzaga at all. I just want to make the point that the black eye, it's not a black eye on the sport of college basketball that Baylor and Gonzaga got canceled because of positive COVID tests. That's something that is going to happen in college basketball in the 2021 season. It's just going to. To me, this was the process working, right? Players are obviously going to want to play. Coaches are going to go until they're told they're not allowed to play, right? Positive tests came in. Indiana health officials stepped in and said, we cannot play this game. The coaches and the players said, well, that fucking sucks, but okay, that's what we got to do. The black eye on college basketball was when this exact same thing happened in Florida last Friday between Gonzaga and Auburn, and that game got played. You have to come to terms with the fact that we are going to have games canceled when we are flying people all over the country to play these games. If you want to have a season, you got to deal with the fact that 20 to 25% of them are not going to go off as scheduled. You just got to accept it. And when it happens, you have to understand that is the process, that is the safety protocols, that is us doing everything we can do to make this as safe as possible, with the caveat that playing basketball in the middle of a pandemic is never going to be safe. So I just had to get that out.
Well, the mistake that Scott Drew and Mark Few made was not having the game in Florida. I mean, honestly, that was the mistake. ESPN wanted it in Indianapolis, and really, and again, I get it. Everybody's not looking, and this is part of the problem is everything moves so quick right now, and people aren't looking far enough ahead, whether it's ESPN, whether it's Scott Drew and Mark Few, thinking, okay, what's the state that's going to be the most lenient? Because we're going to play. Our players are going to play. We saw that down in Fort Myers. Auburn played, right? Auburn played against Gonzaga when they had that one positive test. But in Indiana, different deal. No, you're not allowed to when you have positive tests. Ultimately, that was their biggest mistake. And it sucks because, again, the sport really needed it in a way, I guess. I mean, I don't know how much it needed it. It just needs to continue kind of as is. I looked at it today, in the top 25 that I'm going to publish here in a little bit. I think there's only 3 or 4 schools shut down right now. So as long as that's the case, I keep saying life will go on. We'll be fine. I mean, UConn shut down again, twice within about a month that they've been shut down. It sucks. But again, college basketball is going to go on without UConn. And other than UConn fans, not a lot of people are going to care.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, the big frustration point for me is the difference in protocols and the difference in requirements across conferences and across teams and across states. But we can complain about no centralized leadership and no centralized decision making in the NCAA, but it's basically just mirroring what's going on in the country at large. So we don't have.
No. The only thing I'll get off my soapbox on this one. The only thing I'll say is I just wish Mark Emmert wasn't hiding in a bunker or probably on a beach somewhere. And he came out and was visible and tried to explain even why the NCAA can't make these decisions. That it is up to the states and the conferences. Because I think, unfortunately, a lot is thrown at Mark Emmert, even by people like me, that probably is unjust with this particular instance. But overall, he deserves it from everything that's happened in the past.
Yeah. The fact that we're in a situation where there is such a lack of centralized decision making in the NCAA falls on their shoulders. They put themselves in a position where something like this could be disastrous for the sport. And I don't want to say what's happening is disastrous. I think it's actually been pretty close to a best case scenario that we could have asked for, all things considered.
No, the best case scenario, Rob, is what I think you and I talked about months ago, which is ultimately that they should have had these non-conference bubbles regionally, where every team could have driven to these bubbles, quarantined for multiple days, and just played each other as many times as humanly possible. Sort of like what went on at Mohegan Sun, but you had teams flying in from around the country. It wasn't logical. I feel like if you had done that and had testing at one site, figured out the best place that could be accurate, inexpensive.
Well, I mean, yeah, but again, Jeff, that takes organization, that takes leadership, that takes top-down decision-making, and that's what we don't have in this sport. Anything else stand out to you from the weekend? You got any other hot takes? I got one. I got one that I gotta get off real quick. Colin Gillespie is the most valuable player in the Big East, and the reason that he's not the best player, I don't even think he's the best player on his team, but Villanova just does not have anyone that can do the things that he can do, that can run an offense the way that he can run an offense. And we saw that. They're done without him. And it's not just that; it's the fact that I think the swing skill for Villanova as a team is their ability to prevent dribble penetration. And I know like Villanova does all that switching in the half court, and it's not always going to be Colin Gillespie, but he probably does the largest share of the work defensively at the point of attack on opposing point guards. So not only is he so valuable offensively in terms of being the only point guard on the roster, but he's the guy that kind of is going to be the anchor. Not the anchor, going to be the guy at the point of attack for their defense, which is what is kind of lacking for them. So to me, it's like Colin Gillespie is going to be the guy that determines just how far Villanova goes this season, and if they truly are a top 5 team. And to be honest, like they looked like it against Texas, who I think is very, very, very good.
They are good. Like Texas, I said this, like Texas was playing with house money. If they beat Villanova, it's a hell of a win. But they already had beaten Indiana and North Carolina. Shaka Smart, listen, if you're a Texas fan, you're ecstatic. They put themselves in good position right now, done exactly more than what people thought they'd do to this point. And I think unless the bottom falls out, Shaka Smart should be able to get this team cruising into the NCAA tournament this year. All right, the most impressive thing for me this weekend, Robert.
What's that?
The Houston Cougars. Cougars.
Yes.
I mean, think about this. They're without not only their head coach, Kelvin Sampson, but they're without their coach in waiting, Kellen Sampson. They're without their best player, right, Caleb Mills, their leading scorer. They're without, I think, Marcus Sasser also. And they go beat South Carolina, kind of going away at the end. They pulled away. I got them ranked at like number 4 or 5 right now. They beat Texas Tech. Now, they got Texas Tech at the right time because Chris Beard's still trying to figure out this program. But ultimately, they've now beaten Texas Tech and a South Carolina team that a lot of people thought would be a fringe NCAA tournament team. And again, they beat them without their 2 top coaches and 2 of their top players and beat them by basically double figures. That's a hell of a win.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. I wrote about that in my newsletter today. They just, if you combine the number of quality guards that they have, the fact that they have enough big men to continue to win on the glass the way that they've always won on the glass, the way that they defend, and the fact that Kelvin Sampson is like as good of a game plan scheme coach as you're going to find in college basketball, like that's a very, very dangerous team that should be getting more hype as a potential Final Four contender. Trammell just hopped into the chat and said we got to talk about Mizzou. So yes, Conzo Martin 3-0, won at Wichita State, beat up on Oregon. I'm still not 100% sold on Missouri. I've bought into Conzo Martin before and been burned, but the early returns this season have been very, very impressive with Missouri. I did not think that they would get there. All right. Let's talk about tonight's slate. It's going to be a quick one. There aren't a lot of good games, and that is putting it mildly. But I do have 3 plays that I like. Well, 2 plays that I like, and one where you kind of got to wait on a little bit of an injury and playing time decision. So I'm going to start Goodman. I'm going to say my first pick is Richmond -14 at home against Wofford. What Wofford has done with Mike Young, what they did last year under Jay McCauley, is run shooters off of down screens. Run. It's almost like a windmill, right? Like what we saw with Fletcher McGee is basically what they were doing last year with a couple of seniors, and they lost both of those seniors, Nathan Hoover, and I'm blanking on the name of the other guy. Someone will probably remember. But they lost their 2 most voluminous shooters. Kind of changes what they want to do offensively. Now, Storm Murphy is back, and they do get the big kid from South Florida, BJ Mack, eligible, but it's going to be a different Wofford team. They haven't played a Division I program yet this season, and the first game that they get against that level of competition is a Richmond team that just went into Rupp Arena and beat Kentucky by 12.
So you I don't think Tokyo Falls, any respect? Is that what you were I
mean, I respect their ability to make numbers look really good for the teams that they play. Let's put it like that. So I like Richmond minus 14.
Yeah, I do too. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. I'll go with Arizona I mean, there just aren't a lot of great games. I mean, there aren't a lot of good games tonight. So you're going to be kind of cherry picking what you can here. Arizona plays NAU. It was supposed to happen, I think, in the opener, and it got canceled because NAU shut down. Arizona's given 21. They're young, but I think this is the Jack Murphy Bowl. Jack Murphy, now the assistant at Arizona, used to be the head coach at NAU.
Oh, there you go, Goodman. Not turning your notifications off. Shocker. Professional operation you got down
breaking info for you. You wanted breaking info, I have it for you.
Give it to me. What do you got?
Well, you wanted to know what was going on with Lipscomb and their top players, or a couple of their good players. You asked me for the info.
Yeah, Tommy Moore and KJ Johnson. What do you got?
I'm delivering. They're not going to play.
Not playing. Okay, that changes things for me then. I was going to be on Lipscomb -5 if those two were playing, but if those two guards are
starting backcourt is what Lenny Acuff has there with those two guys. So go ahead, finish. You're going to stay away now?
Yeah, I'm probably going to say I might even look at Southeast Missouri, but it's just the whole theory in that was that Lipscomb is favored by 7 on KenPom. They're only laying 5 at the books.
Yep.
And if we knew they were going to be at full strength, that's just too much value for the team picked to win the Atlantic Sun going up against the 10th place team in the Valley on the road. But, if you don't have your starting backcourt, then it's very hard to kind of get excited about that line. So I'll probably end up staying away. Last one I got. Loyola Marymount.
You don't even let me finish with NAU.
Right. It's going to be a bad pick. Like, why? Go ahead.
It may be, but it may be a really good pick. And then you're costing all these people a lot of money.
Yep, okay? We'll see. Let's see what you got.
I'm feeling that way.
Let's see what you got, Goodman. Let's see what you got.
I'm laying the points. I think it's 20 right now. What is it, 20? Arizona over NAU. James Akinjo, Jordan Brown. Akinjo, experienced, transfer from Georgetown. Jordan Brown, remember McDonald's All-American, who transferred from Nevada. And they got a bunch of young kids, but they got some talented young guys for the most part. And they're laying 20-ish against NAU, and NAU is playing its first game, Robert. First game of the season because they came out of quarantine. So, again, Jack Murphy is going to want to beat the living crap out of his former program that he got basically let go, or I don't know if he left, before being let go. So I'm laying the points there for Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona on – when did they play? I think it was Friday, maybe Saturday. They who'd they play? Was it
Eastern Washington?
I think it was Eastern Washington. They won by 3.
Yep. Yeah, no, I get it. But again, once you get a couple games under your belt and you play a team that hasn't played a game, who's coming off a quarantine, I don't know. I just feel like
Well, I mean, that's the logic is that you're buying Arizona low. And Northern Arizona has not played. They've been out of practices. I'm assuming that they are probably not going to be in shape the way that Arizona is in shape. So I get it. It's just, they barely put away Eastern Washington. All right, the last one I got is Loyola Marymount. They're getting 4.5 points on KenPom.
My guy, Rob.
Huh?
My guy.
Guy. Yeah, all right.
Marymount.
Yeah. Yep. Kelly Leapui.
Leapepe.
Kelly Leapepe. All right, just tell the people about him. Go ahead.
Kelly Leapepe, stud. I mean, if you want to see the guy with probably the best hair in college basketball history, you need to watch Loyola Marymount and Kelly Leapepe. He is a beast, an absolute beast. And I am president of the Kelly Leapepe fan club. So I'm going to ride LMU, Stan Johnson, Leapepe all season long, Rob. All season long.
Yep. So Kelly Leapepe, this is we're a pro Kelly Leapepe podcast here. Loyola Marymount, they're getting 4.5 on KenPom. They should only be getting 2, which is enough of a difference for me to take some interest and kind of look deeper into it. Loyola gets back 3 players that were starters in 2019 that took the 2020 season off. So I think that's relevant. There you go. There's Kelly Leapepe. You're not anywhere near HD down in your Charleston hotel, so no one can see that. But Yes.
Really? That bad?
Yes. It's the kid's got a great mullet. So they also have your boy Kelly, and they bring back a kid named Eli Scott, who we played this guessing game earlier. Goodman. He was he was on the LaMelo Ball, Lonzo Ball, LiAngelo Ball, Onyeka Okongwu, Chino Hills team back in 2000, and I think it was 2018. So they got some good players. They're older than people realize. They have more veteran talent than people realize. Now Santa Barbara is really talented. They have 5 guys on their roster that played high major basketball at some point, but there's also a reason that a lot of those guys are no longer playing high major basketball. So I like Loyola. I like the points, but I do understand like why that number is probably a little bit bigger than what KenPom is projecting. But I'll be on Loyola in that spot. Anything else, Goodman?
Yeah, you know what I like? I like the fact that tomorrow we are going to have a loaded slate to talk about.
Oh, it's insane.
Loaded. I'm looking down right now, and I'm like, Creighton, Kansas, North Carolina, Iowa. Like, please, Illinois, Duke. Please let all these games go off tomorrow. ACC Big Ten Challenge, some other games as well. Like, we need all of this tomorrow. My wife's going to yell at me, but there's a place in Charleston right across the street. Like, literally, I can walk to it. Like one of those old, like beach restaurants with all the TVs outside. Yeah, you're going to know where to find me tomorrow night.
Wear a mask, Goodman. If you're listening to this podcast still, please wear a mask and shop at Home Field Apparel. Peace.